right. Let's send out these tweets. It's Bootsy, baby. I'd rather be with you. Woo. I'd rather be with you. Yeah. Yes, I'd rather be with you. Oh, yes, I do. I'd rather be with you until that day will fly away. I just love that smiling face in the early sun. If I can't have you to myself. All right, where is everybody?
We got 3 people on YouTube already.
Oh, really? All right, to my people on YouTube, we waiting on the ScoonTv app. Woo, woo. With you. I wanna hold your hand if I can. Just be a man. I wanna be your friend, not now and then, but until the end. Till the end. I just love the way you act, and that's a fact. I wanna be your number one, so get to that. Oh, look, we got to run that one back, y'all. I love how it starts. You, yeah. I'd rather be with you. Woo. What's up, ScoonTv family? Indy, what's up, man? You want Memphis Bleak? Bradley, what's up, homie? Cojones, William, Brian Signature. Yeah, it's all. We in here. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good. Well, let's get right to it. Be with you. Oh, yeah. All right, y'all. What's up? It's the weekly live stream. Mumia, assalamu alaikum. News is dead. What's up, champ? Beautiful Doc news. Beautiful Doc. Yeah, that 73-year-old war. I like how you tied it all together. You know, for the people in the chat watching, the news and I, we have these conversations, right? And the thing that's amazing to me is how he'll take a conversation and turn it into a work of art, man. And I really appreciate that, news. For sure. To run a question by you about bros that can use help. All right, I got a question from YouTube. Go ahead, YouTube. Shoot it at me. What's up? Cojones, I feel like we are all kindred souls in it. Yeah, for sure, bro. For sure. For sure. Hey, Darnita, what's up? I don't know if you're into this type of stuff, but I heard on YouTube, Chop and Screw, that record. Yeah, I like some of it, you know, until he wasn't needed. Correct. Man, there's a lot going on, right? So I was a little curious after Melania did her impromptu press conference at the White House. I even did a vlog on it, but new information has come out since I did the vlog. And there's this lady, Amanda Ungaro, and she was deported, and she's in Brazil, and she is alleging that the father of her child, the one who Melania says introduced her and Trump, he ran some kind of modeling agency and threw parties at a place called a Kit Kat Club, where these young models would hang around these like middle-aged, wealthy men in New York City. And, you know, some leftists or liberals have accused him of being a human trafficker. And given the nature of the things in the Epstein files, I can understand why they would say that. I'm not saying I agree with it. I'm just saying I don't know. I don't know anything about these people, right? But there's clearly a lot of weird sexual activities with them. So in any event, he had a child with Amanda, and there was a nasty custody battle. And she is alleging that he had his contacts in the White House. And by the way, he's some kind of an ambassador to some, you know, small nation somewhere. And she's alleging that he sicked ice on her, got her deported so he can get custody of his child. Keep in mind, this is the second time an allegation like this has come against the Trump administration, because Caroline Leavitt, the press secretary, it is alleged that she did something similar to her brother's baby mama, who was, I think, Brazilian as well, and got her up out of here. Because you mess around with these people, man, and they're not going to play with you. If you're not from the country, on your head you go. You know? Let me see what this question is. What do you think about establishing grandfathering, as in giving young men a portion of land, wealth, and training, as has been done in other communities and families, to help brothers get back? I don't have the full context of that question, but what I will say, generally speaking, right, when you give anyone something, even an inheritance, you have to prepare people for success, for wealth, for anything that they weren't accustomed to in their life. You know, you just can't give it to them, because they'll revert to what they've normally done. I'll give you an extreme example. Lottery winners. Lottery winners get millions of dollars, and because they had no prior experience managing and handling that kind of money, most of them end up broke within years after winning the money. And the same goes for professional athletes, by the way. You know, so whatever you give anybody, you have to give them an education beforehand. Or it's kind of like, you know, you just rolling the dice. And you can't really blame them, right? A lot of these young kids that go to the NBA or the NFL or whatever, if they don't come from a structure where they were taught proper money management skills, oh man, no matter how much money you get, you can spend it really fast. You know what I mean? I hate to bring this up, but look at Floyd Mayweather. You know, he's made a lot of money. He shouldn't owe the IRS anything. You know, he shouldn't he shouldn't be losing his gym. He shouldn't be doing a lot of things. Now, I don't think he's broke. I think he just has to get structured and organized. I mean, his car collection, He could sell a few of his cars and pay off the IRS, you know? So it goes down to discipline and money management. Those things have to be taught from small. I often use this example that as a kid in New York City, we used to routinely go to Delancey Street on the Lower East Side for school shopping. And back then, not today, but back then in the late 70s and early 80s, most of the shopkeepers on Delancey Street were Jewish. And they'd sell us everything, the sheepskin coats, the leather bombers, all the trendy stuff that we wore, they sold it to us, right? But the thing that I noticed when I went in those stores is that their kids were in the store and they had their kids working. And most importantly, the adults would sit back and let the children interact with us. Now, we were kids ourselves, right? Because I was in high school 14, 15 years old. So, but the kids that were often dealing with us would be even younger than us. They might be like 10 or 12. And the reason why I raised that is because those kids were learning early how to negotiate and sell and identify certain attributes of potential customers, identify their weaknesses and all of that. They were trained, I'm sure, without taking a scientific survey, that those children grew up to be even more successful than their parents. And not because they were smarter than their parents, right? But because their parents gave them the preparation at a certain level at an earlier age than they received it. So success you have to be prepared for. What else we got here? Do you think that model agencies are just fronts for trafficking? I think, trafficking is a strong word, right? I will say this. I think the vast majority of models who last have indulged in some kind of quid pro quo along the way. And there are many who didn't last that maybe had a quid pro quo with somebody who didn't matter, who couldn't make it happen for them. But if you go into these industries, acting, entertainment, modeling, and you have these strong morals, don't expect to go very far. And I'm not saying that everybody that goes that way is immoral. I think a lot of people are just naive. They really think they're going to make millions of dollars for the way they walk down the catwalk, And nah, there's something else going on there. And if you look at entertainment altogether, most of these women in entertainment, what do they try to do? They try to level up, man. They get showcased. They get a little bit of money on their own. They try to get a Russell Wilson or something and lock in. And that's the game, man. That's the game. I think, and I don't think anything's wrong with it, right? I think we just need to be more honest about what it is. I think that women get the most affluent man they can attract. And men get the most attractive woman they can afford. And I think it's kind of always been like that. That's why if you see somebody when they first start out, when they was younger and broke and poor, and you see who they were with then, and then you see them later, after they become successful, and you see who they're with then, the contrast is remarkable. What's up, Justo? To how most entertainers are compromised. Oh, absolutely, Indy. Politicians, yeah, that's right. Yo, Indy, not to be, a conspiracy theorist, although I am to some degree. I think all of those positions where you are compensated ridiculous, ungodly sums of money for doing simple stuff, it's because it's more going on there. And they're not getting paid for the deviancy. The deviancy is almost like the seal on the deal. But most entertainers are really paid for their ability to distract and keep people looking at the wrong things and also misdirecting the people, misleading them. And I'm not going to say all of them do it. Some do it and they're not aware of it, right? But it's being done. This is why entertainers are being used to endorse politicians, and it's not just Democrats either, because at the Republican convention there was Amber Rose and Hulk Hogan. You know what I mean? It's not Glorilla and Sexy Red and Mar-a-Lago, but well, yeah, Mar-a-Lago had Sexy Red. That's Republicans too. It's everybody, man. It's everybody, because it's easier to become identifiable with the masses. You know, there's something common there, right? And respect, Anthony. Yeah, and it's easier for the general public to relate to, rather than talking complicated issues. You ever try to discuss something that's above the head of the person you're talking to? It's like they almost shut down with their eyes open. So you keep it simple, stupid. KISS, that's what they say. Correct. That is why everyone in Hollywood has pretty much the same position on all critical issues. Yes. A lot of ladies in modeling are live wife catalogs. Yes. For the rich and powerful, many have no skill beyond their physical attributes. Well, they know how to shop. You know? Trump used to be over the Miss Universe. Yes. Trump. I'm not going to say that I believe that Trump is a pedophile or anything like that. I think that Trump is a guy who primarily cares about money. I think money is his Achilles heel, not underage girls. And that doesn't mean that couldn't have happened. I just don't see that as being his primary motivation. I think money being his Achilles heel is bad enough, because when you make money your God, and that's essentially what it looks like is going on with him, right? I'm gonna give you an example, right? Tiger Woods. We all know that he was in an accident recently, and he was talking to Trump on the phone when the cops came. He told them that's who he was. Trump is his emergency contact. So check it out. Trump is also Tiger is also the boyfriend of Trump's former daughter-in-law, his son Don Jr.'s ex. And I believe she has 2 or 3 kids for Don Jr. So Trump and Tiger had been friends for a long time. So how does that happen? He's like a surrogate father to Tiger or whatever. Well, Trump has golf courses all over the world. His interest in Tiger is that Tiger's a golfer. One of the best, right? One of the best to come down the pike in the last 30 years. All right, cool. That's a beneficial relationship. But because he had Tiger in his orbit, when his son and his wife divorced, somebody in that network played matchmaker and put Tiger with his former daughter-in-law. Nobody cares that Tiger's black, half black, Kabbalah Nation, whatever you want to call himself. The only thing that matters is Tiger is rich. And that's what we're dealing with here, right? He has a network. If you add any value, oh man, He's rocking with you. Unfortunately, the black community is not usually, most people aren't, but when it comes to us, it's even less representation, and it can be presented as race, but what it really comes down to is class. I've been saying it for the longest. I don't think the man's a racist. I think he's an elitist. I could be wrong because I don't know him. But he just looks to me like all he cares about is money. And that's not good. That is the EP connection. I don't know. The pageants. Rashawn, what's up? Trump's granddaughter Kai is a golfer as well. See, he's about, think about it, William. He is Tiger Woods' emergency contact. Tiger is drunk, high, whatever the hell he got going on. I don't know. Turns the car over. And who does he call? The President of the United States. Now, think about this. Tiger has an older brother from another woman. I mean, didn't have the same mom as him. And in fact, that brother's daughter, she was golfing and was doing pretty good. But Tiger, he doesn't have them as his emergency contact, though. You see, because he's kind of like playing the same game Trump is playing. Yeah, they know how to shop. Yeah, Justo, look. Miss the gas don't smell the same. I think they watering it down. I notice it's not lasting as long, Donita. That is correct. Taxation will always be a bit like theft to me. Any money you get refunded, the government is probably less than half. From the government is less than half of what they made on interest. Oh, true. It looks like the draft is coming back. This war will be ongoing, yes. Long after Trump is gone. I think Trump is going to be gone soon. They are the D. It looks like, I believe the draft is coming back, cojones. I saw something about by the end of this year, 18 to 2026, are going to be automatically registered for the draft. That makes me think that next year, not this year, next year may be when the bottom falls out. Yeah. If they want it done by the end of this year, they're going to be calling them boys up next year. And things are going to happen. Trump is building that bunker under the White House. Listen, I live not far. Look, I can get to the White House from where I'm at right now. I'd say if there's no traffic, I'd be there in 15 minutes. So I'm not that far away. I teach my son that there's 4 areas in life to portion your money. Investing, giving, expensive, and one. Hey, man, that's a good start. Do you think that modeling agents, yeah, it could be. I saw that a 10th scientist connected to the nuclear research has died. I think news that I saw something. They said those scientists were all working on this low orbit weapon called the rods of God, and it's a metal tungsten. The first I heard of it was L. Lynn Wood, back when there was having all the talk about voting machines in Trump's first term, right? And apparently these rods are like the size of a telephone pole. I'm surprised we still have telephone poles because nobody uses landlines. But anyway, the rods are made out of tungsten, and they drop them from, satellites, and they hit the ground with the impact of a nuclear explosion without the radioactive fallout. And allegedly, these scientists were working on this weapon. The other word for it is Thor's hammer or something like that. Yeah, they love their Norse mythology. Never forget that the Indian Kash Patel told the audience that he would see Charlie Kirk in Valhalla. So there's something with all of that. Oh yeah, Justo, you like that article about Laurel Canyon, huh? Yeah, that's Nathaniel Allison. He wrote that. He's a quirky, very knowledgeable guy. He's different, but I like what he does because I want the content on ScoonTv to be diverse. And I'm gonna share something with you guys that I picked the topics, right? Because I try to make it about like things that's happening in real time. And we get a lot of these clips on YouTube from all these different channels. But sometimes when you write about things, you can pin down different perspectives. So I provide the writers with the topics. So I pay the writers through PayPal, right? Because of the topics of some of those articles that they may mention Iran, Cuba, Israel, Venezuela, China, there's always a hold on the payment made to the writers. So now I'm going to have them just put the acronym of the articles. And the reason why is because there's so much surveillance and censorship going on, man. It's ridiculous. It's an article, and apparently they must be using some kind of artificial intelligence to flag certain payments because it has China or Cuba or Iran or Persia in the title. The payment gets frozen as if you might be funding terrorism or something. I mean, this is the world that we live in right now. So Darnita, I'm coming back to, you asked me how did things go on Sonny's Corner. First of all, shout out to Sonny Johnson. Sonny's very, she's good at what she does. Sometimes on Saturdays, I catch her show. Most of the times, I only talk on the phone when I'm in my car going from A to B. Other than that, I won't be on the cell phone. So if I'm not on the cell phone when I'm driving on Saturdays, I catch Sonny. Now that I said that, I got on the show, and we were talking about hip hop. And that's something that I know a lot about, right? Because of my age and because of where I grew up. And Sonny said something about hip hop that I not only didn't agree with, but I know was patently false, right? But because she is basing her conclusion on her introduction to hip hop, and also incorporating her beliefs, which is, I guess, in alignment with this FBA stuff. She's incorporating that with her interpretation of hip hop. Because I was speaking on recalling Luke Campbell, who was known as Luke Skywalker at the time or something like that, being on the Donahue show. You can pull it up on YouTube. To me, it was embarrassing because Donahue was mainstream, rap was new. This is in the 80s, right? Not the 90s, the 80s. Rap was kind of new, and here comes these women in what would be pretty much like workout clothes today. But back then it was kind of like, like, man, they scantily dressed because, women didn't walk around like that. And they were on there and twerking, not, well, they didn't call it twerking there, but they was popping that thing. And these older white folks was aghast looking at it like, oh, wow. And I brought that up because we were talking about how things in the community got to where it is, and I pointed out the role that rap has played. I don't blame everything on rap because there's a lot of different factors going on, the breakdown of the family, a lot of things, right? But rap certainly did its part. And that Luke claimed that it was black culture. And I told Sonny that I didn't see it that way because growing up in New York, we young men didn't go to strip clubs. That was something older men did. You know what I mean? Young guys, and when I say young guys, I'm talking about like early 20s and stuff like that. Not men in their 30s, right? But we didn't go to strip clubs. And I saw what Luke did as taking the strip club culture out of the strip club. And Sonny said that what Luke was doing was West Indian culture, right? Like, I'm like, what? I'm like, what? But I didn't want to fight her on that because it's her show and I'm being polite. And I like her. Let me say that. I like her a lot. So, but she was wrong. What it is not West Indian culture. Because in the 80s and 70s and 60s, West Indian culture was pretty much parallel to Black American culture as far as morality goes. Same Christian influences. When you looked at Bob Marley and the Wailers, who were kind of radical culture-wise, there was none of that sexist, hypersexual activity promoted in the art. Yes, he had kids with a bunch of women, but that was in his private life, right? That's not what his lyrics was about. That's not what his stage show was about. But they had this interpretation of things that started recently. Yes, nowadays, dance hall music, all of that is very vulgar. Absolutely. But if you look and pay attention, it's not a West Indian thing or a black thing or anything like that. What it is, it's the behavior. It's a subculture that's prevalent among low-class, uneducated people, regardless of where they're from. See, and when you take the worst of any group and try to make that the representation of the collective, now you're indulging in propaganda. Now you're indulging in propaganda. But I don't think that was something she meant to do intentionally at all. I think she's younger. She was born in the 80s. So her exposure to dance hall happened when that's what it was. But that's the danger of thinking that what you know is all there is to know. And I wasn't going to try to educate her on her show. I think rap wasn't like that in the beginning. The way how rap was in the beginning was mostly masculine. I've watched the progression. Most of the early rappers wanted to be what? They wanted to be funk stars, disco stars. They didn't see rap as a separate genre. They were just people who didn't have money to buy equipment, so they used turntables, manipulated it like instruments, and they turned that into an art form. And I've said it before, I've written it. When hip hop first started, the DJ was the star, not the MCs. The MCs only rose in prominence with recorded rap, because recorded rap made the DJ obsolete. But nobody says these things. We got all these experts and authors and all of these things, but they don't talk about it. So they don't even understand it. And then you got somebody like a Tariq Nasheed. He makes something about hip hop. He wasn't there. He don't really know what he's talking about, and he's just race baiting, right? He has an agenda, and he turns everyone against each other. And for people who don't really know what rap wasn't simply talking on over beats. It was that DJ, the cutting and the scratching and all of that. They were the stars, man. When you listen to the old crews, it was Kool Herc and the Herculoids. Kool Herc was the DJ. Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five. They didn't even give you the names of the other five dudes. It was Grandmaster Flash, the DJ. Grand was a Theodore. You know what I mean? And I forgot his crew. And so, and that's how it was. It was always about the DJ. But if I'm talking to somebody from down south who just started learning about rap with Future or Outkast, they don't know that history. They don't know that history. They think history starts when they got involved. And that's not what happened. You can tell me about what happened in your city, but you can't tell me what happened with hip hop because I'm from where it came from. Yep, as DJ Space said, they had to do their own thing outside in Bronxdale. Yep. Look, man, it is what it is. So when I encounter these things, right, I don't want to be bogged down in petty arguments because at the end of the day, I know she's wrong. Not only Luke is from the Bahamas, but Luke grew up in Miami. Miami had a bigger influence on Luke than anything in the Bahamas, right? Luke doesn't even have a Bahamian accent. And what about the other members of the group? What was their excuse? And what was Master P's excuse? And what's Jay Prince's excuse? And what's Baby's excuse? And what's Eazy-E's excuse? And what's all of their excuse? I mean, when you can't take things that you are ashamed of and just try to blame other people for it, that's just so black, man. Just take accountability. When I see the Miami bounce, I see New Orleans bounce, excuse me. When I see the New Orleans bounce, I see men in New Orleans dancing and twerking and shaking their ass. Who the hell from the Caribbean taught them to do that? But that's in New Orleans. That's not Black American culture. That's something they got going on down there. I don't know what that's all about. You know, and like I pointed out to her, from 1980 to 2013, 263,000 black men were murdered in America. And in the later part of that, the music glorified those killings. Not in the beginning, because in the beginning, the rap that I know, nobody glorified drug dealing, gang banging, or any of that. And that's when New York was its most violent. But that's because everybody knew their place, right? If you wasn't somebody who was really like that, why would you even talk like that? Shit, Brooklyn to me was like the wildest place in the 80s. I went to school in Brooklyn, and look at the rappers that came out of Brooklyn in the 80s. It was the Fat Boys. They were comical. They were not. That's right, yeah, Mr. Warbucks. I know that bounce beat come from Queens. Yeah, I know. I hear that a lot. Just like that Miami bass is really Bambaata's Planet Rock, remixed, sped up and all that. I don't even get into it when people be talking because they don't know. They just got an introduction to something and they think that, you know, it started with them, whatever. But anyway, these people they made it safe for white execs and the record companies to market, produce, and distribute black degeneracy. You can't put all of that on Luke. Luke did his part, but I don't think it had anything to do with the Bahamas. I think it had a lot to do with growing up in Miami. That was the culture in Miami. And I'm not saying there aren't degenerates in the West Indies, because there's degenerates everywhere. So why deny the degenerates that are American? As if they didn't do anything wrong. You know? And Tariq Nasheed, he's doing... I can't even blame him, man. Anybody who's relying on him for their education, they kind of deserve to be duped. They absolutely did, All City. They did. But on YouTube, All City says that record companies made money through the exploitation of black experiences. Yes. And Hollywood before them with blaxploitation movies. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. But the difference with the record companies is they would never have done it if these guys like Eazy-E and Jay Prince and all of them who was pushing this reality rap shit didn't come out and say it was black culture. Because what everybody has to understand is when you got successful black people with black women scantily dressed, gyrating, and then you got black men throwing gang signs and crip walking and whatever else they be doing and all that. Then you got these other fools talking about all the dope they sold and all the people they put to rest and all that. And they're saying this is black culture. The white guy, the Jewish guy in the office with the Levi's on and the t-shirt and the expensive watch, he's like, hey, listen, I don't get it, but this is their culture. At least that's what they said. And they're buying it up. So who am I to question it? It's selling. Because even if Luke was a degenerate, why did so many people identify with what he was doing? Because that was in them. That was already there. Nobody ever stopped to think that maybe the society at large influenced Luke, and he turned out to be the gift that kept on giving. Now, I'm not trying to absolve him of any guilt. I think all of these people were complicit in misrepresenting black folks. And then as the generations came, the generations, the newer generations who came into the world when this was now the new norm, they believed it. Perception became reality. It actually became their culture. Just listen to the news in the last couple of days. There's Jay Prince Jr. in Houston. They try to get a chain or something, not him, some guy named NBA Ben 10, who's paralyzed, nearly dead right now because another rapper named All-Star JR from Detroit takes his gun from him and shoots him down. Now All-Star JR is on YouTube showing everybody the NBA Ben 10. These names are so complicated, I can't remember them. NBA Ben 10 dance, so he lays on the ground and acts like he's getting shot with his body twitching, and it's the NBA Ben 10 dance challenge. Where did they get this kind of ignorance from? This didn't come from abroad. This is homegrown stupidity. Not saying that those other places don't have their own stupidity. I mean, look at Little Dirk and they talk about King Von like this guy's like Malcolm X or something. It's inexcusable. People who defend rap are defending the indefensible. And the cop-out to me is to say, well, there's good artists out there still and this, that, the other, and blah, blah. Yeah, maybe they are, but why don't they have the same impact as the negative ones? In fact, they don't have a real impact at all. Yep, T.I.'s son got caught. Then there was what's the other fool from Memphis? Pooh Shiesty, robbing Gucci Mane. These people are these people are ignorant. These are ignorant people, man. And to me, the fact that they were allowed to make that kind of money, being as illiterate, ignorant, uncouth as they are, it sent the wrong message to the next generation coming up. Do you know how many rappers get killed every year? BTK Savage, he's dancing with his mama. Somebody tried to rob him in his house. He killed him, and he makes a video about it. Like, these people have no kind of spiritual foundation. See, let's get into it. The problem isn't tethers, foreigners, or any of that. The problem is that as a people, we have lost our way. And when you remove yourself from that grace, then you become susceptible to all the wickedness in the world. It's really that simple. It's really that simple. And they'll talk about all kinds of things about, you practicing the white man's religion or whatever. You believe in a mystery God in the sky and blah, blah, blah. My question is, what do you believe in, and how's it working out for you? You know, how's it working out for you? Because you're always complaining. What do you believe in? Let me see what we got here. Oh yeah, Kai is the woman of the daughter Tiger's dating. Yep. I'm coming to see things like school nowadays in regards to hip hop. For sure, Anthony, the Bambaataa scandal just makes it worse. I mean, there's people on social media that's disrespecting Bambaataa, right? I'm not defending them. But I heard these things about Bambaataa over 30 years ago. I didn't hear about it in the 80s, but surely in the 90s, I heard about it. And I didn't hear that he was molesting kids. I think Bambaataa, when he was a teen, he was molesting other teens. And I don't know if he was molesting them. It's touchy with that, right? Because, you know, you can't blame the victim, they say. But, man, listen, when I was 15, 14, you ain't gonna make me no indecent proposal. I'm not saying that I'm this tough guy that I would have did something to you, but I sure would have got the hell away from your ass, at the very least. Nobody's really that, you know, sometimes it's poverty, man. And people want to be a part of something so big that they think it's gonna help them escape their circumstances, that they go along with certain things. It happens to women, it happens to men, it happens to young adults or adolescents or teenagers. And they have a lot of regret because as they learn more about life and they think about the role that they played in their own victimization, it haunts them. That's what really messes them up, because they beat themselves up for not saying no. For not saying no. For sure. These young adults setting their place of work on fire. I didn't see that one, Donita. When you run into a presidential motorcade or big event in D.C. Oh, Indy, that's a good question, man. So mostly like when I'm heading home, right? So I'm up on the northwest side, right? All the way up like Wisconsin Avenue, right? And but I work on the southeast side. So when I go past the monuments every day on my way home. Because the Beltway, you can forget about it. I take the monuments, I take that route to the Rock Creek Parkway. And man, anytime there's something going on with the president, the vice president, or if there's somebody important in town. I remember when Netanyahu was here, he was staying at the Watergate Hotel, and I ride right past there, getting on the Rock Creek Parkway freeway, right? Like, it goes through Rock Creek Park, and they make it all in one direction in the afternoon to alleviate rush hour traffic. That's why I take it, because it's fast, right? Faster. Man, when that happens, the good thing for me is that I've been here so long that I know how to get off and finesse my way through the streets, yeah, for sure. But it takes a while, man. Definitely riding past the Kennedy Center. Forget about it, because the Kennedy Center is right over there by the Watergate Hotel. And I don't think there's any shows going on at the Kennedy Center right now. They did show Melania over there, and when they showed Melania at the Kennedy Center, it was crazy. I got home an hour later than I normally do. An hour commute turned into a 2-hour commute. Bad. PayPal was Peter Thiel's first dance. Yeah, the PayPal Mafia. William said, I just wish Sonny would let you finish your answer. I know why she didn't let me finish my answer, William, because she knew where I was going. And I don't know, I just suspect that she either is in agreement with things that that Tariq Nasheed promotes, or she has some kind of connection to him. Yeah, for sure. But I'm glad she had me on the show. And that's that. Rasan, what's up? I see you. You got the app down. Good. I know when I was younger, Freaknik was a big thing. It was. It was in Atlanta. I was down there in the early 90s for it. And from what I understand, dudes from DC started Freaknik in Atlanta. They was down there at the AU Center. At least they take credit for it. But you let the Tariq crowd tell it. The Tethers probably started Freaknik too. Like, it's just weird. What are your thoughts? You say hip hop is black art form culture and everyone else is a guest of hip hop. First of all, I don't think hip hop is black culture. I think hip hop is a business. I think some of the biggest stars in hip hop have been white. Eminem, the Beastie Boys, you name it. You know what I mean? Like, it is not black culture. It is a business. It's pop culture. And we need to get that straight. You cannot call something your culture when you don't control it. If it's your culture, then you control it. When someone else defines what your culture is, then that's a bad thing. And all of those artists are out there dancing for money, figuratively. They're going to represent whatever it is they're told to represent that will get them the checks. Leo Cohen put Young Thug in a dress. Oh, you talking about, I was talking about Melania already, All City, but I think that she's getting in front of something. And the lady's name is Amanda Ungaru, and her Twitter handle is at Amanda Ungaru with the letter A at the end. And there's some people are taking screenshots because she's posting things and then deleting them. I used to like watching Patro when I was young. I shouldn't. Not to mention my middle section. Yeah, I know what you mean, Bobby. All the dope they've sold, all the guns they pop, all the bras they pimp, didn't even come outside growing up. Yes, William, yes. It's unreal. What's up, Anwar? How you doing, bro? Yeah, but yeah, that traffic is crazy. But you always know when there's something going on because the helicopters are flying low. What is it? Not air, Marine 1 and 2 or something like that. Yeah. What do you think the next social control vehicle to control black people once hip hop runs its course? Digital currency, UBI. I brought up to Sunny because she was talking about technology, and it's almost as if she was a believer in the good that it's going to do. I think it can do good. I think it's as good or as bad as the people in control of it, right? Like anything else, like a gun, whatever. But there's a statistic that says by 2053, which is, I believe, what, 27 years from now, 2053, the black American net worth will be zero. With that projection, it tells me that technology is going to help somebody, but it ain't going to help black folks. Black folks going to need UBI like a mug. And like I asked her, if we go by human history, when you don't add value, what is the incentive to keep you around? People have to be careful of what they're promoting and how they're promoting it and what the pitfalls are. Because I think greed is facilitating a lot of what's going to happen and hurt a lot of people. Oh, All City, yeah, that's my partner in crime. News is dead. He's on the app right now, in the chat on the app. Yeah, we discuss certain things, but man, that's his work though. You know what I mean? Yeah. I give him certain things, but man, his research is incredible. His editing is incredible. And he writes that script for the narration. Yeah, folks better figure out their purpose. You got that right. So many folks don't have bank accounts, emails, etc. Some folks not ready. Oh, they're going to get left behind, all of them, man. All of them. I don't know what's going to happen to them. You know, when you see what's going on in New York right now, right? Someone says that he's going to stop traffic going into Manhattan for, 4th of July, because it's the 250th year of American independence. See, I remember the bicentennial in 1976 when the ships came into New York Harbor. They had like these sail ships, the sailing vessels, the type that was used in the 18th century. And they came into the ports and all that in New York. That was 50 years ago. That's how old I am. I remember the bicentennial. So now it's 250 year anniversary. And Mamdani doesn't want any traffic coming into the city. He said because of that and because of that soccer tournament. What's it called? FIFA, whatever it is. But think about that. He wants the city to have a 20-mile speed limit. He's raising property taxes. And if you have more than 3 units as a property owner and you're selling it, the city has non-profits and something else that have the right of first refusal. In other words, you can't even sell your property to who you want to sell it to. So where's all of this going? It's going to the lack of private ownership. Socialism is against private ownership, and they want the cities to be like 15-minute cities, and they want the digital currency and the digital ID and the social credit scores and all of that, and you won't own shit, so you won't have any leverage. And when you don't own anything, they'll start telling you where you can go, what you can do, how much of what you can have, where you can spend your money, and where you can't. And a lot of people, they are so fearful of relying on themselves, of having to compete for what they want in life, that sounds promising, because it relieves them, it alleviates them from the burden of having to produce. And those people, like the people, there's a bunch of people in New York who don't own cars. So they don't care if the speed limit is 20 miles an hour in the whole city, yo. The whole city. They don't care. They don't care. They don't care if property taxes going up because they don't own shit. So we're letting people who don't have penalize, co-sign, facilitate the penalization of people who do. And that's the kind of equality you're going to get, where no one has anything, you will own nothing and be happy. Yeah, it's the World Cup, yup. The World Cup is going to be big down here in Atlanta. The city has a moratorium on all road construction by May 1st in the city. They're expecting over the summer over 1 million guests at Metro Atlanta. I'm going to be out of the way. Yeah, it'll be smart, because I wouldn't be surprised if something happens somewhere. It could be Atlanta, it could be New York, it could be LA. I don't know how this World Cup thing goes. Is it moving around from city to city or what? I haven't kept up with it. Yes, Justo, News is Dead has the narrating game on lock. Like, yo, I'm telling you, man, I speak with him. Sometimes we talk late at night, early in the morning, and we go over certain things that need to be in the docs, right? And when I see the doc, it's always better than I could have imagined. Always. You know? Well, one or two times we had to go back to the drawing board, but the final product is always better than I imagined. Yeah. It's just dope. To me, it's just a blessing. I wonder how the underworld will survive if the currency goes digital. Well, that's what you got the hackers for. You know, the criminals are going to be smarter. They're going to be smarter, and they're going to be able to, you know, do certain things. And I suspect that a certain amount of crime will be allowed. Just like it's allowed now. Sounds like they're trying to turn New York City to Cuba. Yeah, man. Nancy Pelosi was talking in code years ago. Own nothing and control everything. She was telling the rich you are going to need trust. Yeah. I mean, that's where we're going to. And they're using, it's so diabolical, man, that the super wealthy, I'm not talking about middle class, because the middle class are the ones who are about to lose everything. The super wealthy are using the poor to feed on the middle class. The middle class were on their way up. They were moving up the financial ladder. And the super wealthy said, not so fast. And they started whispering to the poor. And the poor just, and of course I'm generalizing here, right? I'm not vilifying the poor at all. Because there are poor people who are, they willing to work and compete and get their just due like everyone else. But then there are those who don't have any faith in their own ability to amass wealth or anything, and they are bitter. And all they want to hear about is taking people down. They cheer when rich people go down. They like to hear stuff like Floyd Mayweather is broke. They like to hear stuff like that. It doesn't do anything for them. It just makes them feel like less of a loser. To see somebody who was winning end up losing too. You know, people rationalize their own shortcomings in different ways. You know, I was talking to a good friend in D.C., and I was telling him how some people, you can't even go around them because unknowingly, just because you got good things going on in your life, you make them feel bad. It wasn't your intention to make them feel bad. But when they hear about all the good things that you got going on, you're not even flexing on them, but they think to themselves like, damn, why not me? This guy got all the luck or whatever. And they start that. That's why sometimes they say you gotta kind of keep good news to yourself sometimes. And that's a lesson our community really needs to learn, you know? It's going to be a shit show. Iran qualified but might not show. Nah, Iran ain't showing. What is your opinion on some of the backlash that Trump is getting from Catholics and Christians as a whole for his criticism of the Pope and his post on Truth Social that appears to be depicting him as Christ? I think people have far more serious things to be concerned about when it comes to Trump than him trolling and what he says about the Pope. I mean, I was born Catholic, you know. My parents were Catholic. My wife is Catholic. And I'm not losing any sleep over anything Trump said about the Pope at all. And I'm not a Trumper. But I'm more concerned about where this economy is going. That's what I'm concerned about. To hell with what that man is posting on Truth Social. Where are we going? Because I was actually hoping, William, that J.D. Vance would come back from Pakistan with good news. Because I was of the opinion that Pakistani trip was meant to Swalwell 2028. No, sir. Look, but I was of the opinion that trip was going to put JD in a good light, and then Trump would step down sometime this summer, because they can't afford to lose that the midterms in November, and they're not going to win with Trump as president. That's why I think he's going to step down. I think that's part of the deal. Now, of course, there's a lot of people that say, you know, that's not going to happen, what have you, but they say his ego's too big for that. And my response is, do we even know this man? Like, people talk like they actually, like, you know, hung out with him before. His ego could be whatever it is. But there's forces that even he has to answer to. And if they say your time is up and this is how you got to go, you got to go. I predicted that Joe Biden was going to step down, step back, not run. And he did. And Kamala, she got in the race a little late, but I saw the setup for it. And I thought this was the same thing going on with J.D. Vance and Trump. I can't believe that Trump is going to make it to November as the president. I don't believe that. But we'll see. Trump sabotaged the trip by sending Kushner and Witkoff. Oh yeah, I mean, that could be true. But that doesn't mean it's the end. And don't get me wrong, I'm not a big J.D. Vance fan. By the way, there's a documentary about J.D. Vance in the ScoonTV app, done by News is Dead. Go in the features and check it out. Like we're like really ahead of our time. Please don't just look at the new releases of anything, because we stay out front. Go in the app and go through everything from the Bank of International Settlements. If you're really interested in finance, we got a lot of stuff in there. The Genius Act, it breaks it down about the Genius Act and the stable coins and everything. It's all in there. The digital ID with the digital currency, verify. Please, don't be one of those people that think, yeah, I'm going to just check out the new stuff. We got timeless material in there. Nothing in the features section on ScoonTV is a waste of your time. If you got the app, if you're a paid subscriber, if you've donated money to ScoonTV, if you support us in any way, please make use of all the content. There's a lot of information, and nobody's giving it to you the way we are, because we're not really on anybody's server. I mean, I'm using YouTube and Rumble because, believe it or not, there's people from all around the world, and they do what they do. And I use YouTube and Rumble and the other platforms to promote the ScoonTV app, because that's where everything is. Or you can visit the website, ScoonTV.com. So what do you think about what's going on in the Strait right now? Could it possibly lead to more negotiations with Iran? Here's the thing, William. I don't know how to feel about anything that's reported in the news. I think they want a war. I think even if we get a peace, it'll just be temporary until the action resumes. Last week they were saying that there was Chinese ships on the way to America for oil. Trump's trip to China has been pushed back. He was supposed to sit down with Xi Jinping. There's something going on that's bigger than Iran right now. Iran is just a piece on the chessboard, man. It's just it. We don't even hear much about Ukraine and Russia anymore. Have you noticed? One would think that with all this focus on Iran, that Russia would step up its attacks on Ukraine and seize Ukraine territory. But what's his name? My buddy was telling me yesterday that Viktor Orban, he lost his election. Thank you, Anthony. That's right. I'm an independent journalist, media practitioner, and businessman. I can't be bought, man. Yeah. And by the way, I'm getting ready to get involved in the D.C. mayoral race. One of the candidates is supposed to call me this week. This is, to me, that's my reward. Not YouTube checks. None of that. I play for position, not paper. ScoonTV and the work that I do there and elsewhere, it puts me in a position where I can do certain things that's more directly impactful. Yeah, for sure. Damn, Anthony, you said Ukraine kicking Russia's ass now. Wow. Wow. I may need to get one of my people to cover that. Would love to see me run. Look, man, I haven't forgotten about running in New York, right? I'm just watching. If you notice, I wrote 2 articles in 1 month, and both of them tore into Mamdani, for sure. Yeah, I did see Anton Daniels and Stephen A. cozying up, but I think those guys are they're content creators. Respectfully, I create content, but I don't think I'm a content creator. You know, like I'm trying to figure out how to use the content and parlay it into something else, for sure. Mm. BRICS nations circumventing the petrodollar. They've been trying to for a while. I think ultimately there's going to be about 2 or 3, maybe 2 systems of digital currency that eventually becomes one. That's what I'm writing about. That's the New World Order. And Catherine Austin Fitz, she's an investment banker, and she has some really good takes on how that goes. Unfortunately, it appears that Trump is working for Israel. Israel will keep Trump in office until 2028. We will carry out the wars and priorities of Israel until that time. Apple and other corporations are signed on this as well. Ooh, Apple Maps preemptively altered Lebanon territories as non-existent for as non-existent. So I guess that's part of the greater Israel, huh? People were upset, but Apple did not have to answer to it at all. Well, thank you, Anthony. I don't know, man. Trump is looking bad right now. He's looking bad. He really is. I'm not 100% sure things are the way they're being presented. I tend to believe that whatever we're being told convincingly, it may be the exact opposite. You think about this, right? We have Amanda Ungaru and Carolina Levitt's brother's girlfriend deported. Why? Because they pissed off somebody with ties to the government. They were really nobodies. And they were deported because of that. Now, look at Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, and others. How are they saying all of the things that they're saying? And they have so much to lose, and nobody's bothering them. We know better than this. We know that they are not above getting a visit. And the only reason they are doing and saying the things that they're doing and saying is because they are being allowed to do it and say it. Now, that does not mean that what they're doing and saying is not true. But sometimes, people will reveal some truth to create chaos because they have a greater plan in the mix. Again, I'm not saying what Candace promotes or what Tucker is saying is false or true. I just know that if they didn't have permission, they would jump out there, say something like that, man, they'd be in a world of trouble. All of their resources would be under attack. Their very freedom would be under attack because they are speaking about powerful forces, institutions, and what have you. And yet nothing is happening to them. And don't you dare become silly enough and think just because they said something, you can say it too. You know, I don't trust it. Candace has small children. She's making her livelihood doing what? Being a truth teller in America? You're actually speaking a truth against powerful people and nobody says anything? Trump says that Brigitte Macron is more attractive than Candace. That's all the retribution. Yet something ain't right. Or as they say, something is rotten in Denmark. For sure. We just got to pray for our country and leaders. Man, and we got to pray for ourselves, Donita. Because these are some strange times, man. Yeah, Trump is losing control. I can't see him last until 2028. He's going to have to be replaced just for appearances. And when you think that J.D. Vance is backed by Peter Thiel, it almost makes Vance more scarier than Trump. The media types can say what they want now as the 3 tests have taken place. We allowed lockdowns. We allowed for Trump to be reelected. We have allowed for the Epstein class to get off free. The people have been deemed weak and useless at this point, no different than prisoners. Well, that's a heavy statement, Brian. That's a heavy, heavy statement. I still wouldn't underestimate the power of the people they're speaking against. Yeah, news. Rubio looks like the natural choice to me. And again, I'm not a Rubio guy, right? Like I don't have any kind of emotion with any of this shit, man. I'm looking at it and I'm just like, I think this is going to happen, and if this happens, this is where I need to be positioned. I'm not sitting around rooting for anybody because none of those people care about me. None of them. And I'm not delusional about that at all. At all. Yeah, I just want to tell y'all that next week I might not be, I'm going to try, but I'm going to see what's going to happen because I got some things going on in my own life. But next week I may not be able to make it, and if I don't make it next week, I probably won't make it the following week either. So I might take a brief hiatus. I don't know. I'm gonna try to not milk, but I'm gonna try to come as until the last minute, until I can. But once what I'm expecting happens, I'm gonna have to take a break for a second. Is there a spiritual component to the New World Order? I believe so. When will the Dems return to being normal? Never. Nothing is going to return to what it was. The Republican Party is not going back to what it was. Neither is the Democrat Party. None of it is going to return to what it was. Yeah, you know, I don't think, I think really, news when it comes to J.D. Vance, I think he's a lightweight. I don't think he'll ever be ready. But I don't think his job is to make decisions. His job is just to deliver messages. And I think he can do that for sure. It's, I don't want to say it's almost over, but that 2030 mark is looking crazy to me. Yeah, I saw something about Marjorie Taylor saying she may turn into a Democrat, but again, when it comes to online, like everyone's trying to out-Trump Trump now. Trump is not a conservative. He's actually a liberal who ran as a conservative to get elected. So why wouldn't a conservative run as a liberal to salvage their political career? All JD had to do was bear his chef and not make mistakes. But every time he pops up, it's a new blunder. Amen. They've been hiding him. They've been treating him like Kamala, bruh. I was surprised that he was going to Pakistan. I was like, yo, where's this guy been? What is going on with him? And what else we got going on? Is Bradley still in here, or did Bradley leave yet? Bradley, where you been, man? J.D. Vance can't stand up for his wife. J.D.'s wife is Brahmin. Is there anything to that? It looked like they want him to divorce her and marry crazy Erica Kirk. Well, I hope I don't get canceled for calling her crazy. She do seem a little off, though. I think Trump got a wake-up call at the end of his first term. Yeah, he's very different this time around than seeing Kamala and Biden getting in. The powers that be set him straight. I think he thought he could do what he wanted and freeze them out. That Iran war wasn't his idea. He got with the program. Everybody's going to get with the program. The program is to undermine the current monetary system and set up that universal digital currency that's going to be what? The means of control. It's going to be a control grid. Mask is convenience like everything else. This closing of the Strait of Hormuz and the war with Iran, it's meant to bring the nations to their knees. There's going to be a shortage in helium coming out of Qatar as they call it. The helium is needed to make those high-grade chips in Taiwan. I think I saw somewhere where Qatar produces like 80% of the world's helium. I had no idea. I had no idea. Oh, Bradley, what's up? Okay. Israel kept Trump out of prison. He's paying his debt. They have hung it over his head the whole term. JD is compromised too. Yeah, I believe that. I believe that for sure. But I'll tell you something, Brian. I think you can't get to the White House unless you're compromised. I was watching Alex Jones. There was someone on the show who said Trump is showing signs of someone who is under mind control. I don't know, man. If they can do it to him, they can do it to anybody. Bretton Woods 21st Century Edition. It's coming. It's coming. Tony Campbell, what's up? Oh man, Bradley, I'm sorry to hear that, bro. My condolences. My condolences, Bradley. Alex Jones is still around to create confusion, yeah, for sure. I mean, after he lost that lawsuit, he's been done. He's been done. $1 billion debt and still has his show. Oh, they own him now, man. he thought that he was bigger than the program, I believe. He started talking that stuff, and he $1 billion debt. His wife left him. 93. Amen. All right, good night, Darnita. Yeah, if anything, check the newsletter this weekend. For everybody that's watching, that'll see the recording, because we get a lot of people that watch the recordings, right? Because of the times, it's not convenient for a lot of people. But for those watching the recording, please sign up for the newsletters. Because if there's any changes in my schedule or anything, it'll first be in the newsletter. That's what we use to keep everybody abreast. And also, all the latest content, whether it be articles or the documentaries or whatever, goes into the newsletters. Thank you, sir. Catch the replay for sure. Have you heard about the government kill switch they're adding to new cars? Yes, I did. Bradley, it's funny, right? All right, good night, Anthony. Little more, yeah? But I had I can talk to my car, right? My car will tell me if there's a accident or congestion up ahead. I don't hardly drive the car. The thing is, because it's so advanced, it made me feel kind of weird. Like I've had it for 3 years and I got less than 7,000 miles on it, right? Because it'll just start giving me updates on stuff that's going on. And when I bought it, I didn't even know it had all these features. I bought it because it was fast, and I liked it. But I realized that if I could talk to it and it could listen to me, like I could tell my car to set the temperature in the car, to give me directions. I can speak this while I'm driving. I said, man, but that means it's listening to me all the time. And automatically, I just started being, and I don't even talk about shit in the car. You know what I mean? But I just felt kind of weird about it. I also know, Bradley, that there's supposed to be a ban on gas-powered vehicles in 2035. Like they're not going to be sold afterwards, you know? Yeah. Yeah, I don't want none of the new stuff, new phones, new anything. The newer it is, the less I trust it. That's what it's coming down to. Yep. I was just saying that I don't trust the phones. None of this shit, man. It's weird. It's weird. But anyway, one more point on the Sunny interview. When I think about your boy from South Africa, the dudes I see in the UK, Black America influences the world. Thank you, William. Thank you. And that's not me trying to shift blame to Black Americans. Black Americans are the most influential Black people in the world, and they should take ownership of that. And a lot of times, if they do degenerate stuff, it becomes more acceptable everywhere because foreigners want to be Black Americans until they get to America and realize the full scope of what's going on. And then they start seeing that, I don't want to be a second-hand citizen. But when you're in a third world country and you're looking on YouTube and all the Black people you see got all these diamonds and these nice cars, and it's not an accurate portrayal. But those people are poor, man. And Black in America seem like they're so successful and affluent because they're judging us by celebrities. I've said this example a bunch, but Henry Louis Gates, the professor up there in Massachusetts, who had the Bear Summit with Obama. In his travels, he also did that research that claimed like 12 million slaves left Africa, and according to his research, only something like close to 500,000 came to North America. This is the basis for a lot of the FBA saying that they were already here, because it couldn't, 500,000 couldn't have multiplied as quickly as to justify the numbers. It could also be that Henry Louis Gates was wrong, but look, I don't have no dog in that fight, right? But anyway, he said that when he was traveling Africa, the Africans told him they saw Black Americans as the whitest Black people in the world. So there's a Swahili word used for white folks, and the word is Mzungu, right? And do you know what they call me in Swahili? Mzungu. The same thing. So I don't think Black Americans understand how they are perceived around the world by other Black people. They're seen as up here, and Black Americans are influencing the other people in the good, the bad, and the ugly. Well, on that note, I think I'm going to call it a night, and hopefully, well, I shouldn't say hopefully, but possibly I'll see you guys next week, And the newsletter. Check for the newsletter. Sign up for it. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything. We only send it out once a week. We're not going to flood your inbox with all kinds of solicitations or anything like that. Get the newsletter, because if there's any changes in the schedule, it's going to be in the newsletter. All right? Y'all have a good night. God bless, and see you next week. Salute, all city. Salute. Thanks for participating.